Yeah, so we're gonna call that set enough and just get right into it. I want to say hello to everybody. Hey everybody, it's Krusty Old Crow and I'm back to do another one of our videos. This one is going to be 88, the comparison between the figures we had in the 1988 line for G.I. Joe and what we currently have with our G.I. Joe classified collection and what we know is coming. And I, being the ex-veteran Canadian Armed Forces armored soldier that I am, I'm going to have an opinion on some stuff. I'm going to have a take on it, and I'm going to have a perspective on it that I'm going to share with you. That's why I call my stuff the tactical perspective. I also have Specfire. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, hey, there's a couple of figures in this line I did some extra considerations on. Now, as I told you guys before, and I've done 82 as an individual year, I combined 83 and 84, and then I combined 85 and 86 into their own respective videos. And this is all done on what was coming out in the line and what we already had in the classified series, and really where I wanted to weigh in. I was trying to keep these videos in the 45-minute mark for each of them, somewhere under that and around that. So my last video, 87, was a complete year unto itself because there was a lot to discuss in 87. And I told you guys, I don't think I'm going to push through all of G.I. Joe on this one because this is where in the 80s I was aging and becoming more of a teenager than a play-ridden child with toys. And I was collecting through my cousin by buying them for his birthday or Christmas for him, the Joes that I liked seeing on the shelves around the 88 era and 89. So I think around after 89, things will get too difficult for me to weigh in without being almost slanderous or jokingly so with the product. So I'd rather not do that. Because I have a lot of respect for this product and I don't want to be one of those guys that just craps on everything, and that's something I'm going to talk about for a second here, guys, because I had a couple of big things happen in the last 24 hours as far as Krusty Old Crow's channel and his identity and the community and his level of involvement, and these are good things. And let me have my coffee for a second, I'll tell you about it. Hold on, let's get the crow away. Thanks for that, guys. I was running dry. I wonder why. Seems I'm always talking, right? All right. So on the issue of respect and the community and things like that, guys, you know me by now in these videos, especially you guys who have been here since the beginning. And thank you to all those subscribers and all the new ones I got because of what I'm about to talk about. Welcome aboard and thank you so much for hopping on and seeing what it's all about. So the other day, we'll start with last week. Last week I made a video about some news updates in the Joe Classified line as far as some things that Hasbro were saying and letting us all know about. I learned my stuff through the channel. It's a couple other Canucks up here. Liam and Ducks, thanks again. And I did what I learned you do when it comes to paying somebody their dues and their respect. And I just made sure that people understood that the video I was making was a response video more than anything to what they were making in their video. And I paid them credit for, they were the information source I was drawing on. I wasn't trying to take credit. And because in the military, they teach you to be thorough about credit. You know, if somebody's owed their due, you give it to them. You don't want this ever coming back where, you know, that cycle of mistreating people, right? So all I did was tag them in my video description and just said, hey, well, basically, guys, I'm using you as my source. Just want you to know, and I really respect you, big fan, whatever. That sat for a couple days. I kept making these videos. And then the other night I'm sitting there making dinner and I got a bip that they liked that comment. And I thought, oh, well, that was nice that they liked that comment. And then on my own video, they came on to my video. Viper Island actually came on to my update video and just said, you know, it's good commentary and cheers, right? So I was like, that was really nice of them to take that time. They're, you know, it was like into Wayne's World, like when you're filming in your basement and you get a nod from NBC for a second, right? Like that's what that was for me. And I was like, oh, that was cool. That was really nice of them. And it made my evening, right? And so it got me thinking about respect in the community and how nice it feels when you're just doing this as a hobby and you know it's ad hoc, one take videos, and it's just, you've already told them, hey, I'm doing it my way. And people keep joining. And then this Viper Island comes in and says, hey, we like your commentary. At least they didn't say they like my camera work. They didn't lie to me. That's good. That's really flattering and I really appreciated it. So this morning and last night, I've been in a good mood because I thought about it and I talked about it with my son who's more into YouTube than I am. And I was like, did they have to do that? He's like, no, they didn't. They could have just done a lot of, like and leave it at that. But then they've doubled down on me, and I'm going to move things along, guys, because I want to get to the 88 series, but I really want to pay props where props are due to people and talk about this community respect thing for a second here. So they doubled down, and they put a post up on, I guess, their Insta account just for their community shout-out. Just a little quick plug. But they made it about us, guys. And I say us because this is exactly what it is. This isn't about Krusty Old Crow anymore. This is his squadron. And they just sent a shout out to the channel and said, hey, if you want to hear a different view on it and perspective, go check me out. And I really appreciated that. They did not have to do that. That wasn't what I was looking for. I just wanted to make sure that all respect was due. That was a double down on respect back to me. And I really, wow, made my night. So I also want to send another shout out then and pay this all forward, right? Community and respect. Because there's another guy out there that's emulating a lot of what I'm saying about, like it's easy to be negative, but why? Why focus on it? We all are aware of it. There's other ways to do it. And I've been looking at his account. And you guys have recommended guys to me before to, check this out. But this guy I came across just because I saw his message and I agreed with it. And it was his most recent video about kindness in the community. It's Chad. If you haven't checked out his channel, do it. He's another veteran. He's actually your veteran, guys. I might be handing over a whole new batch of subscribers that I depend on over there. But it's Chad's got the same view as me. It's when it comes to this community. He has a larger channel. He's got about, what was it? Much larger channel than me. But he's dealing with something that I have been blessed. Go figure, an atheist saying blessed. But I have been blessed in that he's dealt with negative people on his channel, apparently. And coming across, or he's made some observations where he's been a part of a conversation about Joe where it's unnecessarily going negative, and he's also looking at how much is being put out there to just tear down a toy like Joe. And I think he's also like me. We know there's a market for that, and we know that some people think that's their brand. Being blunt and honest about this product is relevant, and absolutely sure. I guess maybe that's a vantage we can all look at, but that's not what my channel's about. And I don't believe at all it's what it's Chad about. So a big shout out to his Chad. So guys, let's go to 1988 and stop blowing sunshine up my channel's butt. But thanks again to the new subscribers. And remember, if you do like these videos, that's great. Like them. If you want to share them, share them. If you're on the fence about subscribing, what do I have to do? Bribe you with more talking? Okay, I'm going to do that. But the bottom line is that we're having a lot of fun here, and I'm just, I ad hoc everything. I've got notes, but I got no script, right? So no editing, no nothing. Guys, I want to welcome you back to 1888. Brent, shut up, I got a gun. Okay, Brent's cool. But you remember 88 ain't that much more different than 87. It's the Miami Vice era. The world was learning about the corporate boardrooms of several companies and cocaine and other things. And I don't mean to draw so much emphasis on that. It's just that I think Brad, as I now call him because of the last video in my old age, I think he had a good time last video, and I do think he did work on some of these projects again during his short tenure at Hasbro. So 88, as far as what came out with music, the #1 hit was Faith by George Michael. Gentlemen, And ladies, if there's ever any ladies in this that join us, let us know, because your perspective is often what I want to know about too on some of these guys and figures. But ladies and gentlemen, Faith by George Michael was the #1 hit of 1988. So you're probably asking yourself right now, well, I've watched the rest of the series so far. He's going to tie it into Joe. How is he going to tie this one in? Okay. 1988. You had to have faith, right? But let's talk about faith in chain of command and faith in product, okay? 88 is where I see a faith in a chain of command within the Joes, because at this point, they have more infantry than anything else on the ground. All these wacky support trades, and now they're actually starting to make some sci-fi stuff up. Where's the Padre? Where's the chef? Where's the cooks? You're missing some critical Joes. How are the Joes going to have faith in you if you don't respect their individualism in their freedom of choice of religions and things like that? How are they going to have faith in you if you're not feeding them properly and you're constantly making them eat rations, whether they're deployed forward of the friendly lines or behind? No, guys. 88 is where faith starts to dip in the Joe line, because, like it or not. Now, I know you don't want to play with a Padre, and I know you don't want to play with a chef, but maybe you do. I don't know. But they're missing from this ever-expanding and ever-diverse, and let's reflect our forces and promote them line. No Padre, no chef. That's how faith tied in. Okay, what was the #1 movie? I don't remember. What did I write down there? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was right. Okay, so how do you tie Who Framed Roger Rabbit into Joe Crusty Old Crow? You arrogant son of a bitch. Look at that. You get a shout out. Now you think you know it all. Well, that's not hard, guys. Let me introduce you to 88's villain in Roger Rabbit and give him his new name. Introducing you to the Toxo Viper. Don't believe me? Oh, sorry. Plug. No, don't believe me? Okay. Well, what was he doing to the tunes? He was dipping them in toxin, torturing them. Yeah, he was using it. He was flexing hard on tunes with that toxicity, and you found out after that he was actually a tune himself, right? Tell me that's not a Toxo Viper. Throwing in 88, quiet nod, definitely, right? So I really loved seeing this picture, and I've decided that, by the way, that this is Brent Brad, former employee of pretty much every toy company out there through the 80s. So we're going to go through the figures, and then we're going to go through some of the accessories and the vehicles. And some of these we do actually have rumors on, or we have them, right? But you can see my representation here of what I have in the classified line from the 88 line is loosely represented. All right, and we'll get there, and I'll point them out and explain why after, okay? Let's just move things along so we keep it under that 45 minutes. All right, so we've got the Toxo Viper. Not Toxo Viper, pardon me, Astro Viper up first. So 88 introduced us to the Astro Viper, and right away I was thinking to myself that I am looking at one of those, a lot like Fast Draw from the 87 line. Here we are selling a whole bunch of ordnance to a guy, and not taking into ballistic characteristics, but at least they're making them science fiction and not based in reality, so that was fine. But then when I read up on them, and I apologize, I think I rolled through the file card. There it is. Basically, if you read the first few lines, glaze over, we see that they're more about surveillance. Oh, pardon me, that's clueless. And the next guy, where did that one go? Kind of skilled. There we are. They're more about surveillance and observation. They're more like flying drones. Except for some reason they've decided a living human should be doing the exact job of the flying drone up there. So I would just look at that, and if I was to say, somewhere a couple of years down the line, when everything's been kind of visited and revisited, maybe we'd see these guys visiting the line and using the magic Hasbro hammer to reforge a character into a more useful weapon. Maybe we'd see some more attachments, rather like surveillance attachments rather than guns. What did impress me about the original model is at least it was functional enough to have hand joystick controls for the guy and things like that. But aside from that, you know, Hasbro, they'd keep the color probably the same. You'd probably have some troop builder options with that because they've already accounted for the balaclava look, so you would get a dark skin, light skin kind of head option maybe. Who knows? There's something there. Whether or not I want it is a separate question, guys. I just see some potential in it. I'm gonna move on now to the back screen here and try and. I've spent so long getting this organized, guys, and it, you know, it just went the way it went. Blizzard. Okay, Blizzard, I really want to talk to you guys about for a second because I see some potential for Blizzard that needs to be addressed. You guys know I'm a big advocate for talking about a Snowcat in the HasLab line or a versatile snow kit in the retail shelf if the Vamp sales are good enough to entice Hasbro to open the vehicle gates a bit. Blizzard would be, in my mind, one of those part of that tier unlock if they did it as a HasLab for the Snowcat. But Blizzard's kit makes a lot of sense. So we know where he's from. You can read the card, but bottom line, Arctic Warfare Training Instructor and Infantry, okay? So we got a lot of infantry, but we don't have a lot of Arctic in the line right now. And you know I'm also plugging away at that, going, Hasbro, let's do this. Let's get this moving. Call me. Let's get it moving. So I think that your kit would have to include that, and I think that really entices Hasbro to do this because it's the nod to a unique piece of kit, as well as, you know, it ties into Inuit culture that are from that environment. So it's orientating for the character. Quick nod to what Buzzer should have come out with classes, but you can see how they were utilized right up north. So the helmet for him, we base on a sectional based helmet, I see it, but replacing these goggles with those glasses, and there you go. You got a beautiful helmet, just paint it white or do the scrim. Quick nod to the Viper helmet, the Scout helmet for the Cobra Ferret Scout Trooper that we were talking about in the other videos in speculation. You can see the different types of helmets that are out there and the different types of mouthpieces. Again, this could be applied to Blizzard. They're more of that. And then we get into the different cams. If you noticed on Blizzard's pack, it had handlebars, and I didn't have this figure. I didn't see him play, but I'm assuming it means he can ride his backpack down the hill if he had to somehow, or do something with it. There's got to be a reason for those handlebars. You can start looking at rucksacks and things like that, realize that's achievable. Maybe even have them swing out rather than permanently fixed out, so, you know, they're not obstructive and snagging on stuff. But different types of winter kit out there. All of it looks promising for a G.I. Joe classified Arctic line. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about Budo now. Pardon me, I'm getting really dry really fast. It's gonna be a long video, boys. Woo, Budo. Woo, no. Don't get me wrong. Those wizards and their voodoo over Hasbro could make me an amazing voodoo figure. Double down, make it a deluxe kit. And by golly gosh, you know the old crow's going to sweep in and pluck up one. At least one. But I have not often talked about ridiculous characters until... Brad! Don't talk about Raptor anymore! I'm not. It's Budo. It's that same thing, man. Like over the top, jumping the shark, making it too out there. I got the story. He's generationally connected to the samurai line as a guy, but he grows up as a blue collar worker in America, and his dad and everybody else was like all blue collar workers, but somewhere down that line was a samurai, and he caught wind of that, and now it's like in his blood. He's a natural samurai, but he's also kind of a bike guy, works in the garage, he's a grease monkey. I have the feeling that Budo, he thinks he looks like this. all stoic and noble, and I am a Ronin who have found my place with G.I. Joe. And be like, stop, man, you're from Cali, man. But really, he's coming off like this. I have no place. Where's my place? I need a place. Who am I standing next to? I just couldn't get behind a Budo figure. But again, you talk about, well, Hasbro can make them desirable, can't they? They absolutely can. I think they would do a good job. Speaking of good jobs, I'm going to move into the next guy on my list, which really quickly, and there's not a lot to say about it, is Hardball, the multi-shot Grenadier. Right, so it's one of a couple of reasons why you see my gung-ho variant up there, and he's holding a multi-shot grenade launcher, much like what you would see in the Hardball if they did make one. And I think if I'm picking up what was being laid down in the comics or the cartoon, he was popular enough, but I don't know for sure. What your thoughts on Hardball are, you're free to tell me in the comment section. Let's fill those up and keep the talk going. But Hardball, I could see being a very interesting and very desirable G.I. Joe character. I just wonder if I had the actual... Well, I've got his file card up, and I guess that's as good as it's getting. My battle prep, we had one oversight. I don't think I had the package art for him. So there's Hardball. So ex-baseball player, natural with the grenade launcher, and the card makes mention to the battle sites and range sites on one of the grenade launchers. And he doesn't need it because he's really good at eyeballing the distances. And I thought that was an interesting nod to a little bit of gun knowledge and from somewhere within the pools of the probably the Coast Guard Reserve or the Naval Reserve, I think, is who Hasbro gets some of their weapons and whatnot knowledge from. Still currently, God, I wish you would call me. But anyways, yeah, you can totally, once you've fired an M203 or a grenade launcher of any kind enough, you start getting a feel for where the lob is, what the arcs are, you know, and things like that. So that was a neat little add to the Hardball character. As far as a figure would go, I think you're looking at another bazooka type where it's you know, that image is everything. That jersey, that hat, that heart, like professional baseball player appeal, but with a big ass military grenade launcher, and you know, this veteran appeal almost, and just maybe the pants are tactical, the kit's tactical, you know, and things like that. So I think Hardball would be a easy yes for most collectors to pick up on a classified line, because I think classified would keep it simple, direct to shelf, and do it right. Talk about Charbroil. Charbroils came out in '88. More flamethrower troops. This one had a very insectoid looking helmet, which kind of threw me off, because if I blow it up, again, I wasn't really collecting at the time. Instead of blowing up, I'll come to you. Okay, stay where you are. Stay where you are. I'll come to you. Okay. Yeah, you could see on the helmet it almost looked like a Cobra design, but I know the packaging and the file card would tell me otherwise, probably. But could he come into the line? For sure he could. Flamethrower troopers. Well, after Torch comes in from the Dreadnoks and those flame effects start becoming something that they can look at the price point and maybe go a couple bucks more on and see success with that, I can see more flamethrower troopers coming, just flashing some quick scenes of flames and flamethrowers. Like, they are a torturous, horrifying weapon of war, but they also have other uses. Especially in firefighting, for burning dead zones into the path of a fire, things like that. You wouldn't think you fight fire with fire, right? Literally. So there's a place for them. I don't necessarily look forward to it. Sorry, there is the Hardball. I just had his file card in the wrong spot. There you go. Hardball! Let's see you. So there we got that. Hit and Run came out in '88, and that's one I want to talk about for sure, because we already know that Alpine is coming. Alpine was announced. He's in the pipeline. There's been a lot of back and forth. Everybody eager to see some digitals. I don't have any. I don't have any speculation on it. But Hit and Run is another mountaineer, infanteer kind of guy. Brent Scott out of Sioux City, Iowa, right? So, but he's one of the ones where if you read the file card, he's a serious ass Joe. Like, he lost his parents to drunk drivers and stuff like that, and he's hardcore army, so he's gonna work out well behind Alpine in your collection, on your display, in your photo set, whatever you're using them for. I can definitely see an appeal for hit and run. Sorry, we'll get that centered there. Hit and run, and yeah, just some inspirational on what a modified version could bring to the table for hit and run. And again, if they did maybe an Arctic variant, but also a nod back to Blizzard. But yeah, these are Mountain Ops, guys. This is what Mountain Ops brings to the table. Oh, who were that? Well, let me call up the original shot first of what we knew him as. So going to talk about Hydro Viper for a second. Siri, are you listening? Go away. So I've got Siri on there for some reason, and I've got my cat pestering me at the same time. But Hydro Viper to me is, again, one of Brent's products. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into Brent right now. He needs to go calm down. Apparently, these are eels that graduated their way up to a reward of genetic modification. And that's their great reward. Oh, good. Hi, Lime. How you doing, buddy? Everybody, Lime, everybody. One cake. Thanks. No, we're just going to go over here. So I laughed at that pretty hard. And, I again, it's one of those cases where, Hasbro could make it interesting, especially if they come at the gate strong with Cobra Law from 87 at some point and they show us some things. I don't think the demand on the bringing a new cycle of the classified eels back into play is enough to because they're sold out where we are, is enough to entice them to make this monstrosity. And I say monstrosity because he is a monstrosity. He's genetically engineered, not because that's my opinion of him, but I do think he would fit in well with this crew. I think that's probably where he spent most of the time before becoming a Viper. And I laugh about the idea of a genetic modification that sees him with webbed hands, purple skin, but he still requires flippers and breathing apparatus of some sort and vision protection. It's not working for me. Well, okay, maybe not vision protection, but he definitely needs the breathing apparatus still. So what genetic modification was there that they greenlit? Nonetheless, we're not going to dwell on him. Iron Grenadiers came out in 88 as well. We got the file card for them. And as we know, these are Deathstro's personal elite guard. Just a variation that came out somewhere in the lines of them. Looks promising. Reminds me a lot of Warhammer 40K. These are just images I pulled up. I don't know if this is somebody's custom job or if this is actually something that happened when I was off war fighting in the stand. But those look really cool. But they remind me of Warhammer 40K Death Corps Creed Troopers. And I thought that was interesting. Anyways, there's one if you guys were having those in your collection in the day. I don't think my cousin had any of those. But with the Iron Grenadiers, eventually there comes the line, maybe another Destro variant will come. And that's the promise there. There's the original Grenadier box. And you'll see there's other support for the Iron Grenadiers in 88. A hard push for Iron Grenadiers in 88. And a hard counter push for Joes from something we've all grown familiar with. I want to talk to you a little bit about Lightfoot. Lightfoot came out in the line, and he was basically a follow-up to the EOD tripwire guys. So like Tunneral Rat, Tripwire, all these EOD guys, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. He was to join them. He reminded me of a GoBot. He didn't even hit Transformer level with me. He hit GoBot. Just in the colors and the helmet being all spacey looking with little antenna shapes coming off of it. And then this, I thought at first he was construction crew and he was leveling pavement. And I was like, oh good, they got some engineers over there. Well, he is an engineer, but he's explosives. Somehow that thing is looking for mines. And there he is. He's no different in the comics, apparently. And the figure, if you had that, lots of little pieces to lose. So I was like, how do you make him viable? Well, you've got to rework them, guys, because there is definitely a place with him in the Joe line. So going to get a little soldiery for a second and just give you a little bit of that tactical perspective on a guy like Lightfoot. Where is his place? Well, we got tripwire. Nobody really wants to go get another tripwire if I'm reading that market right. Like, one was enough for everyone. If a Tiger Force 1 came out, it might get considered, but as a deluxe package, it would probably be a no. We got the Tunnel Rat. He's EOD. He would do this. Tripwire would do this. But let's talk about BIP. BIP is blow in place, basically. It's an unfortunate term to be told to be doing that to your vehicle or equipment. It means that there's no hope of salvaging it. We're only taking the loss on this, right? And so where I first heard the term BIP and realized what it was and you know, I've had to see it happen, not with my vehicle, but with others. It's blow in place, and it looks a lot like this. And so the engineers and a guy like Lightfoot, this would be the focus I would give Lightfoot. Why such a grim focus? Okay, so there's your US vehicle CAS, there's your Canadian vehicle CAS, and I do believe I knew that crew, unfortunately, but not from my rotation. I believe that is the one where a guy I went to basic with got hit. Alan Stewart, and you know, big shout out Alan. I didn't mention him before, but I'll mention him today. Anyways, why so grim? I don't mean to dip grim, and I'm not trying to take the video there. What I'm trying to say is you have to think about compromised equipment when you're fighting an enemy like Cobra, like the Taliban, like Cobra. Any tech you leave behind is going to get reverse engineered and understood far better. Any advantages you leave behind are no longer your advantages, regardless of if you have duplicate copies of said advantage. So I'm talking about advanced radio communications that keep your messages encrypted and secret. I'm talking about positional satellite link-ups that give you access to like a network. Weapon systems that perhaps aren't fully understood by the enemy. You know, capacities of the vehicle, densities of the armor, actually getting measurements and things like this. Seeing how troops load out on a mission is all told in the vehicle, right? You can learn a lot from what people leave on the battlefield. Trust me, everything from a cigarette butt to a vehicle will tell a story. So bipping is the way to keep things like sensitive communication equipment and electronics and all that secret top hush stuff. We bip that so the enemy doesn't get it, basically. So that's where Lightfoot would fall into my eyes. Muskrat is another one that came out in the 88 line, guys, and that's really why I have my gung-ho, or as I have been calling him, I think you heard me call him a couple things. I really settled. I thought he looks like Bobcat right now. Does gung-ho look like Bobcat? And I just mean Bobcat isn't a made-up character name, but I gave him a skateboard in the end because I had that with rock and roll, but rock and roll's a surfer. And I gave him his grenade launcher back, but I gave him a bush cap. And now he's sulking because we're talking about Muskrat, and we do know of recent that Muskrat is going to be coming to the G.I. Joe classified line from all the indications there. I don't know if it was officially announced or not, but we're seeing the Muskrat hat out there, so I think it was. And again, we're talking about another guy coming in with a shotgun. So many shotguns, but again, this one makes sense. It's a gator gun for sure. So yeah, sorry Fiona, it is. I don't want to hear from you. And yeah, so I think there's definitely a big hype that's going to come with Muskrat. There's going to be some mixed feelings about the purists who love the boogie board that he would come with. And there's the figure there again, guys. Boogie board with the red stripe and a machete. I personally don't understand the logic behind the boogie board being such an essential piece of kit. I would probably jack somebody up for showing up with a boogie board for a mission. I'd be like, what do you think? We'll just fly there, okay? Or we'll walk. It's fine. Don't be afraid to walk. It's the same as if somebody were to be dressed up as something else ridiculous, right? Like a samurai. Oh, what? Oh, that, yeah, that did happen. Okay, repeaters one I want to talk about. There's a revival character, I think, we could definitely throw in here and say he's got a place in the Joe Classified lineup. I think they're definitely probably looking at it. If I were in the Joe creative team right now, his name would have come up a lot, actually, because he's using a different type of heavy support weapon. You can kind of count on one hand your heavy gunners. You got your rock and roll. You got your roadblocks. For those with any speech. Yeah, just continual roadblocks. And we got Bazooka. He's in there as heavy, I guess. A Tunnel Rat with his M60 could fall in as heavy. An EOD with a heavy weapon known to be underground tunneler. Yeah, makes sense. So Repeater definitely has a spot in that line. With his swivel arm, he's and it says, yeah, primary infantry, secondary heavy weapons. You know, he fits the bill. I'm not going to get into the character. You can read up on him. I'll read up on him later too. There's the card, but I can see some use in modern design for it, and I think it could get interesting, right? So yeah, I definitely think there's my own want for Repeater, and I think that the creative team would probably want to tackle this one sooner than later, because, you know, like we said, they're not just following the old product line, they're hitting broad strokes across. That's why we have certain characters like Muskrat and or Muskrat on the way. But I mean, you see Shockwave there. I'm not going to ignore him. It's not time to talk about him. Road Pig is another one that came out in '88. That's got some hype and speculation about it, but I didn't know, as far as I could tell, no actual announcements about Road Pig. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something there. Maybe, but I don't think I did. I think Road Pig right now is just everybody's expecting it, and I get why. And yeah, I think it should be. We do know that Naugahide's coming. That's been confirmed, so... Shockwave, there, we're there. Jason Farah. Okay, so guys, I'm going to use this opportunity to just quickly reiterate something I've been saying about Shockwave for a while now. I actually really like Shockwave, despite the controversy about what other people feel about it, and its, you know, inconsistency in the kit issue with what it came with. Did he need a double pistol? The shield's a new ad. It's causing a little bit of stir in discussions as to why they chose that particular type of shield. I'm fine. It's good. I want to move away from the, well, what kind of shield should he have come with, to what my actual issue is with the shield. And I'm going to get right up close in case you didn't see that Shockwave video. If you notice, he's got the pistol in the left hand and the shield in the right hand, because the shield is molded to that hand. Okay. We know this because there's the grippy part and there is the clingy part. Grippy, clingy, clicky. Good to go. All right. The big emphasis I have is I'm fine with the rectangular design, the height, the width, whatever. This is a heavy duty shield. You're expecting a lot of gunfire. I get it. You're going to stack behind this thing. This corner cut right here, I think, for if they wanted him to be a if they wanted him, I think it's on the wrong side myself. This is like a vision slot. It's to make up for not having a window, I guess, right? So he's supposed to be peeky, 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 right? But if you think about it, play factor and what the design was probably intended for, to have that slot there, it's not for just for peeky, peeky. It's for resting a gun, firing and advancing, or firing and withdrawing, right? Suppression fire and protection. So that slot is in a very awkward spot for the way they designed the shield to force him to be a left-handed shooter there, right? So all I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to remove this piece and I'm just going to flip it. And then I'm going to solve that problem by having the shield on this arm, the slot closer here, but more conducive to a right-hand fire or firing over it. And you see where I'm going with that. Yeah. I think that's the only criticism I have about it. The rest of the discussion about Shockwave, everybody's entitled to it, and I respect it all. But to me, the shield isn't that bad. In fact, I think it's actually a pretty damn fine shield, if you ask me. Steve Rogers, you might disagree, but I don't care. But yeah, I think it's a fine shield. I just think this design and its intended purpose would have met Hasbro's playability factor on this side. Okay, so enough about Shockwave. We know he came out in 88. Moving right along, we're going to go... yeah, you see with the original character, he did not come with that shield, so we'll move over. Who we talked about? Storm Shadow, the other representation I have. So we had Muskrat, we had Shockwave, and now we have my Storm Shadow. And no, it's just a retro Storm Shadow. It's not at all this cool beast. This was the coolest Storm Shadow I remember ever seeing in my life. As it pertained to my exit from G.I. Joe and into manhood, I guess. I thought that was phenomenal, and I remember my cousin got it for Christmas, and it had the tattoo of the clan's emblem, and that gray on white cam was phenomenal, right? And I thought with that compound bow, it was really, really good character, good figure. So when I started learning about the the G.I. Joe classified line, I saw the first rendition they did for the winter camouflage Storm Shadow and the use of the blues and the almost parka-like attire. And I was like, why didn't they go with that gray on white that Jonna had? That was an amazing figure. I still hope to see a variant on this. Maybe this is the one that they tie into what I was saying about dipping into a Desert Commando Storm Shadow to fight the Desert Commando Snake Eyes that they've already got on the market. I think something along those lines is it should show up at some point. Okay, Spearhead and Max. Spearhead and Max is kind of, let's just say it's a really poor follow-up attempt to what I saw about Law and Order in the 87 line, or what we're about to get. Pre-orders in, guys. Pre-orders in on Mutton Junkyard. So get your pre-orders in, because that's coming. Here we have another handler guy, an Infanteer handler, and with growing your Joe Zoo, you're going to need a new branch for Joe Zoo for Jungle Cats. Basically what he's got a lynx, right? Or yeah, it's a lynx. They call it a wild cat, but basically he's got a little lynx. I find the funniest part of him, oh god, I didn't grab the file card, or did I? I didn't. My bad. The funniest part about that guy, man, is just when you read the file card, if you look it up online, they tell you all about how he used to be an insurance salesman and why he joined Joe and what he's persevered through. And at the very end, and it's almost like they forgot, and they've like committed. The card's in print. You got one line. Say one line about the cat, and it's like, and his mad cat. You know, it's like this little thing at the end. Oh, and he's got a cat. And I thought that was just perfect. I was like, oh, okay. I really don't understand this character. Do I think Hasbro is gonna do this one? Not a priority. I really hope it's not a priority for them unless they're doing it to prove a point about what they can accomplish for a revamp and make it palatable. And then, of course, guys, 88 was the Toxo Viper. I've talked enough about that. Clearly, Toxo Viper. 88, man. It was a hell of a time. Voltaire. Voltaire was coming out there to join those Iron Grenadiers that were coming into the line, and I don't have much opinions on Voltaire. I'm not a big fan of the original design. I will be curious what the classifying design is, but do I think it's coming? 100%. I think Voltaire will come out the gate once the Iron Grenadiers are firmly on the market, and maybe after they've introduced Destro, they'll introduce his boy Voltaire and that Vulture, you know, going with the same kind of mounting attachments on there and on the back or something like we saw with Spirit and Freedom. All right, 88 also brought us some mail orders. I did the picture this way off of the toycollector.com because it was the only good photo I could find. But Super Trooper apparently was an available mail order in 88. Not much opinions on those. All don't slam mail orders. If I'm gonna start with my own Manta, and that's gonna hurt me right where I live. Okay, 88 brought that counter force to the incoming Iron Grenadiers in our Tiger Force. So you've heard me talk enough about what I think of Tiger Force and things like that. Let's just stick to the facts, ma'am. All right, so Lifeline. I've talked enough about Lifeline, but in 88, Tiger Force Lifeline. Whoops, wrong direction. Tiger Force Tripwire. Oh, contain your applause. Tiger Force Roadblock, we know is coming. It's in development, but it's not officially announced as like ready to go or anything. I think they're just saying, yeah, we're getting to that one very, very soon. That's, I think, the limits of the commitment I'm willing to make on that. Still lifeline. Tiger Force Flint. Well, we all know the story there, don't we, gentlemen? You either like them or love them, or most of you probably are not big fans. Vice the original Flint that came out in the classified line, but collectors are happy to see him join the original 88 release wave. And you know, I'll be honest, he's gonna end up in my collection at some point. It's just order of March, Flint, order of March. Dusty we have in the line again, order of March. Eventually I'll get him, but I have my other Dusty. I'm content as a collector. Tiger Force Duke came with the Tiger Force Ram. No problems there. He's in the line. Tiger Force Bazooka also in the line. Came out right around the same time as his regular version, so no issues there. We also saw in 88 the dual packs coming out with Muskrat and Voltaire. Interesting enough, but some of the repaints were really interesting, like Tunnel Rat Psych Out repaint. I thought part of the images, guys, I don't own them. They're pulled off Google. Some work, some don't. There you got Sneak Peek, different variant in that, an LT Falcone, like we all really want, is a new Falcone just to get the head dealt with. And then you had that Crazy Legs and another version of Outback I think really works, actually. That looks like a really good version for a Night Force. So, and it is Night Force, pardon me, but we, like, if we're going to get a Night Force Outback ever, I'm probably going to be okay with it because it already looks like modern thin slit and thermal wear kind of shirts on them. So it's good to go. And, you know, I'm a big advocate of those accessory packs. 88 had them. They also had, oh yeah, these vehicle pack and little Tinker toys. You saw it. That's what I think of these following toys right there. Ping, pop, ping, 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 ping. Little quick market cash cow. Although I was in Los Angeles not too long ago. I took a vacation around there. I spent a lot of time around the Crenshaw area. Maybe I could see a market for this. The little trike scooter thing that Muskrat's riding up here. That is all out. I am moving on. Cobra action packs, join that. And then as we move through the total assortment of them all, then we get into this bad boy. Battle Action Barge. Yeah, that's one of the vehicles that came out, and that's what I think of it. Bunch of sitting ducks out there. Probably the worst posting ever, if not the worst task ever. You got to do 12 hours on the battle barge, just sitting there bobbing, getting seasick, and waving at tourists going by on cruise ships. The Cobra Adder, very functional, very purposeful. I could definitely see them doing this when Joe goes to war in alleyways and confined spaces. They're going to be really happy with the width of that vehicle. No overhead protection, I think, like that. It should come with a driver named Tinnitus, but it apparently doesn't come with a driver at all. But Cobra Adder came out in 88. Just kidding, guys. I don't think we'll ever see it. The Cobra Bug, this goes back to Faith. Where is our kitchen? We need a fleet of them. Bring in the Cobra Bug. Okay, so the Cobra Imp, we got to be careful about how we talk about that particular name. Cobra Imp is actually, all jokes aside, if we're looking at a Steel Legion release and all that other stuff, the fact that we have MMS systems, maybe people want a more affordable little tank than the Hiss. Perhaps the Imp could come around. What do you think, Imp? He's thinking about it. All right, RuPaul approved the Cobra Stellar Stiletto. I don't care what the pilot's name is. He's a Viper, he's whatever, but definitely approved. Okay, Desert Fox, 6-wheel drive. This has got to be one of the most unfortunate things I've ever heard of in a Joe toy as far as a driver name, but I believe this is where we got introduced. Let me just get the notes back here so I don't lose track of the... Because we got to talk, Hasbro. We got to talk. This is one that you need to pull out of the fire. If let's say Classified goes on for... I think realistically, Classified definitely has another 3 years in their shelf life, if not more. But let's say it goes on for 5 or 6 or 7. And we start getting to some of these drivers of these vehicles. We're getting to the age where it's terrible because Desert Fox, the driver's name is Skidmark. And I'm like, of all the call signs out there, how does that one not go silently protested, especially in this woke culture of harassment and bullying? How do you have a driver whose name is Skidmark, unless he's pushing it on people? Like, call me Skidmark. He's embracing it. I think we got a real gross driver there. I can't see a market for a guy named Skidmark no, any more than I see a market for Hasbro to push any kind of price tag on an attempt at that particular vehicle. Doesn't look like it's worth the plastic at that point when we are waiting on some more traditional and obtainable things like that. So we got the Mean Dog. That to me was just an assembly of a bit of Mad Max and good welding more than anything. What did they have for a pilot for that one? Oh God, I can't even read my own note on that one. It's one sec there. Yeah, no, not even gonna bother at this point because I just don't think it's gonna come anyways, guys. It's too big. It would have to be a HasLab project and just really not worth the overall investment. However, the Phantom X-19 Stealth Fighter was one I was like going, okay, that's a definite HasLab. That's probably not desired. I realize the younger generation might very much desire it. And when I look at it from a tactical sense, I'm like, well, Ryan, we've seen things like it, and we've seen more modernized versions of its predecessor and its concept, right? A lot of new stealth fighters, pardon me, hitting the market and hitting the design floor. So, well, that's not necessarily new. So maybe it is viable. The RPV, remote piloted vehicle, Hasbro, just like that recce sled, there is a complete red light on this vehicle. Do not look at, do not pass go, do not collect $200 and bury this design. If you look at where the driver of this thing is supposed to be sitting, poor hardball, and you look at the fact that this very, very large rocket is taking off, leaving a very large blast, and you could start to speculate that if it did come with the driver, it'd be like fourth degree. So that would be him there. I'm not going to show you what a real burn victim looks like, guys, but that just wouldn't happen. There'd be so much liability. The Rolling Thunder, you think I would have a wackier perspective on the Rolling Thunder per se. I really don't. This is the market. You build an action figure line, you got to have more toys to interact with it in order to sell and push and advance it. This thing had to happen. As far as a rehash of that concept, is it likely to go on to that classified line with the current market and the price points that these things are going at and the price of plastic and no. But it could be based on a lot of modern concepts, as you see here. Like, it's nothing new to have a mobile artillery piece with that crew cab in the front. And you can see enough inspiration in the designs to it. So definitely a doable project, just completely unlikely in my eyes. The Swamp Smasher, you can just take that and smash it and throw it in the swamp. The Sky X-Wing Chopper, yeah. No, that came out in 88. You could tie a battle barge to it if you ever needed to find it again, okay? Post two guys. But this thing also can just go along with it unless somebody over at Hasbro wants to go on the record and put the science between the jet helicopter and those blades and just explain this thing. And I can eat it. I can take it. But until then, that's the extent of my comments. The Warthog AIFV is one I would be really excited to see about. Not at all surprised to see if it did go as a HasLab. I'd love that. I could see it being prioritized one. I would almost take that as a consolation prize if my Snowcat never got done. But I could also see it being a direct-to-retail market because, again, it's got that demand for a place to put people and equipment that they're building in this line. I could see collectors valuing it. I could see kids enjoying it. And I could see the plastic use of it being an empty content holding vehicle being minimal. So maybe a retail market. But again, this is where the importance on how the Vamp does on the open market when it's released, what its initial sales are, and whether or not it hits its proper benchmarks to see things like this happen. So, guys, I don't work for Hasbro. No, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they haven't asked. But you should definitely put me on record as plugging the Vamp.
okay? But for those reasons, and especially the vehicle releases that they could unlock that way. But there's some inspiration for that I think we can draw upon and accept that would be good. Burning through the Tiger Force repaint vehicles. If you remember 88, we started seeing these in the commercials with these. And people were of mixed mind on Tiger Force, of course, because it was a repaint line. And they could see that, as were some of the Iron Grenadier and Night Force vehicles. Sorry, not the Iron Grenadier, but the Night Force vehicles that were coming out. Strictly repaints of either Joe or Cobra or both or whatever. It was whatever they could just pour new plastics into the mold and make capital on, right? We know this as adults. We didn't care as much as kids, or did we? Did they assume we didn't? I don't know. But there you go. It's just a bunch of rehash of stuff we've seen. And then we got Destro and the Iron Grenadiers. Like I said, he gets a stun. I could see this going down very much like a Serpentor Sky Chariot, wherein lackluster as it was as a play toy maybe in the late 80s. It's a collector's piece and a piece of art on a display shelf in the classified line. And I do think that this Destro is coming. So I think if I'm going to call the ball, and crusty old balls, don't call me crusty old balls. I like crusty old crow better. If I were to call that ball right now, I am saying 2024 to 2025, the Iron Destro release will go down like Serpentor, and this is the kit. Okay, that's what I'm going to call the ball on. It will not be the Demon, which also came out in 88. Much too big, too many piecing parts. AGP, don't see a market for it, and can't see it. And so, guys, that brings me to the end of 88, and my opinions on it, and my speculation on how they can do stuff with it. Brad, you were incredibly silent today. Brad, oh no. Oh no. Oh no, he's puking. It's good. So anyways, I had a good time making the video. I've had a great time making these videos, and I've had an even better time interacting with this community, as you saw at the beginning of the video, guys. So just again, a big shout out to all you new subscribers, that especially the ones that came over as a response to the Viper Island Instagram post promoting this channel and us. Thanks very much for coming aboard. To anybody on the fence, I can keep giving you reasons to come back. You might as well just subscribe, please. But hey, if it's not for you, don't. Okay, this is a small market. It's a small subscriber base. It's like that for a reason. Either you relate to this or you don't. And either way, mad respect. Big shout out again to It's Chad and his channel, and to all the guys in the comments section. You know, the more I get to know you, the more I get to like you. Just keep up the good work, guys. We'll see you again, because I am going to have to do 89. I'm going to do that one probably tomorrow, and fill up my week just talking about Joe. We'll see ya. Thanks again, guys. Bye.